Welcome, everyone. Welcome to ALD Unfiltered October edition. And we want to thank all of you who have previously joined us. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for subscribing. And if you are a first time viewer, please remember to subscribe and follow us on our YouTube channel. So this month, as we begin, wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge that there's been events and experiences over the last few months that have probably caused a lot of anxiety, stress, and pressure, really shaping how we kind of deal with our emotions. And we wanted to take an opportunity to kind of share with you and have a conversation about how those emotions influence our day-to-day life, our relationships, our workplace experiences. Um, we've had numerous conversations about that, but we wanted to have the conversation with you. So I'm here today with my esteemed colleague, Dr. Andrea Davis, and we just wanted to go ahead and just kick this off. Dr. Davis, what are your thoughts about all that's going on? And just kind of share with us, where are you at right now?
Well, first, hi everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Where am I at right now? I'm tired. I'm really just tired. It feels the violence feels exhausting, the rhetoric feels exhausting. Um, just feeling as if you have to second guess whether or not you even want to show up at, certain public events. Like it's all just tiring and I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, as we talk, I think about the people who are probably less fortunate than we are, and imagine the amount of weight and strain it has on them. But I want to, although it sounds corny, provide some encouragement. There are times early in January, we've had to pivot multiple times in this business space to be viable. And through working together and along with our strategic partners, we found ways to sustain the business. But we understand that, there's could be darker times ahead, and we're working diligently and behind the scenes to figure out what we can do collectively, because the old cliche is we're better together. And sometimes when we think about our partners, we look at it as the village, and we want everyone in the village to be able to eat. But when we think about like Dr. Davis has expressed, this it's just nonstop. It's hard to catch your breath. There were days, I think I can't speak for everyone, but there are days that I felt suffocated and I felt totally drained. And I had to just find ways to lift myself up, reach out to friends, talk to my wife, my parents, just to find some level of encouragement. And I wonder, as we go through this and as you're watching this, we encourage you to take a moment to go into the chat and kind of share what are some of the things that you're doing to sustain yourself, to kind of keep yourself lifted. And we also want you to know that it's okay to be tired. It's okay to take a knee and seek help if you need it,
Oh yeah.
and talk to someone. We've talked about resilience in the past and talked about it as a team sport, and finding people who will continue to keep your flame lit. So,
Mm-hmm.
so with that said, Dr. Davis, tell me about some of the things that you do to stay encouraged.
Well, to stay encouraged, I don't know. I think I can more readily talk about some things I do to sort of maintain my mental health. Stay
Mm-hmm.
encouraged, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes that's a little bit more difficult, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a standard I can't always meet necessarily. But I absolutely have fully leaned into mental health services. I weekly see a therapist. I see that as part of my regular wellness routine. I see it like a person to go to a dentist every 6 months. Like my therapist is in my life, and I am thankful for that. I'm thankful for that resource and having that kind of outlet. Friends, for me and friends, we do close friends, do sort of a weekly check-in. Just kind of, hey, how are you? Do you want to vent? Just get kind
Mhm.
of get it out. We have this space. It's four of us. So we get on a call and we a video call, I should say, and we all just kind of let it all out, and that's felt really healing and therapeutic. Also rest, being intentional about taking time for rest. Rest heals our bodies. We know, when we're sick, the doctors will recommend, hey, take some medicine and rest, right? But I think
Mhm.
sometimes we forget that it can also be healing mentally as well. So making sure that I am carving out time for adequate rest and not seeing that as sort of an afterthought or something that I will, maybe make time for only if I can. Like, no, it is going to be incorporated into my day. So I'd say that, and for me also, leaning into my faith has been really helpful during these times. So those are, I'd say, the four things that are really kind of keeping me afloat right now. What about you?
That's interesting, and I want to thank you for being vulnerable in this space and talking about seeking support through, through your therapist. For me, the last 3 years have been, my brother. I lost my brother to brain cancer. He was like my right hand, my rock. My father's dealing with dementia, and my mother's. I have a stepmom and a mom, but I call them all the same. I don't like the step thing in between.
Mhm.
But they're getting up in age, and for me, I find solace in you know being at home, being in my man cave, watching. I don't watch too much of the news. The news has been a depressing space, but I watch shows on building like HGTV. And I know I've shared this with you before, but to me, it's about making something new. And I continuously look for opportunities to re redefine who I am and how I process and how I develop things. Golf is like my sanctuary. That's my place, whether I'm playing good or bad. It's out in the wilderness, and it's me and a few friends just having fun and being competitive. But recently, I went back to my alma mater, Washington State University, with some former, with some track, with some old teammates from my track team, and that's a trip that I typically would take with my brother and this group of people. So this was the first time that we made the trip without him, and it was therapeutic to be around a bunch of guys that we could laugh, and they would share stories about my brother after I graduated, and things I maybe didn't know, but it made me feel close to him, right? So when you lose someone, I think it's important to embrace the memories that you have with them, and that was um, I found that to be refreshing, right? And after the trip, they said, we could see him in you, and you made the trip what it was, because I didn't always make the trip, but my brother always did. So it was nice to be in that company. And I share that with you because it's important to surround yourself with people who can shed some light. Um, I was thinking earlier about, I think we maybe all asked the question, but I'll speak in present tense, me. I asked myself, why me? And
Mhm.
why me, although rhetorical, there's a couple of aspects to that. One, why me is why am I so blessed and fortunate to have the circle of friends and all the things that I have? And on the other side of that, I could look at why me, why is this happening to me?
Mm.
But then the other side of that question is why not me?
Mhm.
Why not have all the things that I've worked hard for and sacrificed for? And why not me to challenge me to say, what else can I do? How else can I step up? I think as human beings, we get so caught up in the moment of the incident or the despair that we don't really think about how we can elevate or what we can do differently.
Mm.
But again, that's my perspective. I like to hear, your thoughts when it comes to why me versus why not me.
Ooh, you're talking about a philosophical, religious, existential, all the like all
All,
the
all, all of that, I put it in a big bowl and stirred it up. Yeah.
you know, I don't find myself thinking that very often.
Okay.
That's not one of the questions I'd say I grapple with the most, because I feel, because I rarely feel like it's just me. I think that these things that we're going through are collective trauma, and yes, of course there are things that I know that, okay, this is like in my head, right? Like I
Mhm,
am personally dealing with this, but the thought really doesn't occur to me, why me? So that's just not one that I particularly grapple with. I'd say um instead, I think the question that I maybe struggle with is like, why are we here? Like, why is this happening? Like, why are we in this space?
mhm,
And, hey, I don't think one question is better or worse than the other, right? They're
mhm,
just different ways of sort of thinking about things. But
mhm,
um yeah, that's what I deal with. Like, how are we here? Why are we here? And what can I do to get out of the space as an individual? And then what can I do to kind of help the collective get out of the space? Um, and that's a tough one, because I don't always have an answer to it. I don't know if I ever have an answer to what can I do to help the collective get out of the
mhm,
space. Even what can I do to help myself personally get out of the
mhm,
space? Sometimes I don't know.
mhm,
Um, and sometimes it might mean just kind of taking a step back. Like I'm just gonna back out. I'm just gonna, bow out for a minute,
mhm.
because that's all I've got. That's all I've got is self-protection in this moment. I don't have anything else to give. And I've had to come to realize, as someone who really cares about my community and my village and community care kind of versus self-care, I've had to really, really emphasize to myself that it is okay for me to just take that time to figure out what I need as an individual. Sometimes, like, that's not wrong, it's not selfish, it's not any of that. It's okay.
And and I want to expand on that self-care piece because it's so important. And earlier you had shared that you seek a therapist, and there were many during my military career. I did the same. My
Mhm.
wife and I, with the counseling and with the family, and just trying to keep things together, right? And sometimes getting an objective, non-biased um, perspective really helps to bring things to light that really help you in that journey. But we
Yeah.
also think about self care is that, as I travel, we both travel immensely. And I always use this story in opening up some of my leadership classes is, the flight attendant will tell you in the event that we lose cabin pressure, please put on your mask first. And I would tell you that even though, as the head of my family, I know that there are times I have to lean on my partner, on my wife. And sometimes my siblings will call me, look, you're not Superman. You don't have to do this. I know. And I really appreciate that. But as the eldest, I felt that responsibility. So
Mhm.
there are times that maybe I'll unplug and I'll put on my mask. And there are times where, even with my brother being, he went to heaven December 6th, about 3 years ago. I still have moments that I need to shed a tear or two just to get it out. And then I laugh and look at pictures, and it's just, it's kind of cleansing. But there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with showing emotions.
Mm-mm.
Um, for those who don't know me or haven't seen me in person, I'm a
Mhm.
6'5" man, and when people see me in class, and sometimes I let those emotions come out in class, and it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay to have a moment to let the full range of emotions come out. But what
For sure.
advice would you? But what advice would you give to someone, Dr. Davis, if again, we have so many things going on, and I know that we're not therapists, but what are some of the things that you would maybe suggestions that you would have for our listeners as they deal with these events and experience and the emotions that come with them?
I am going to say first one is seek mental health services, mental health support. I mean, it is hard, and we're not an island, right? We are not supposed to just be surviving on this world or in this world by ourselves. We need other people, we need support. And I think we are so fortunate to have access to, resources via 1-800 numbers, and, the National Alliance of Mental Illness and stuff like that, like things that we can do for free. And I mean, free, truly free, not even leaning into your health insurance. If you, whether or not you have it or not, just, I want folks to not feel stigmatized or feel as if it's an issue to have support for your mental health, because it is hard out here.
Mhm.
um, and get whatever help you can. Seek it vigorously, right? Don't be absolutely unapologetic about it, and know that that's okay. And another thing I would say is just to work on maybe being authentically you.
Mhm.
Uh, I feel that in like current times, maybe we feel a need to kind of minimize ourselves, or maybe be different from who we are. But I think that kind of leaning into your true self can be freeing, and those mental health services that I just was talking about, they can help us to better understand what that true self, or who that true self really is.
And to that point, last month, September, was Suicide Prevention Month. And I used to be in my military role, one of my jobs was the chief of suicide prevention. And oftentimes it wasn't that we didn't that the people who were hurting didn't give us the signals or the signs. We would say that screams, no screams are silent. We just failed to listen to them. I
Mhm.
would encourage you to check in with folks. And if you're having any of those thoughts or ideations, please reach out and make a phone call. There
Mhm.
are people who care about you, who need you in their lives. And we all have moments, and I encourage you just to call someone.
Mhm.
When we think about your circle, I'm blessed with a great circle. I mean, like you said earlier, my faith is a strong part of who I am. So I am a trustee at church, and I do a lot of work within that church, and that brings me strength and energy. It's almost like, and you don't have to be religious, and I'm not prophetizing by any means, but but I think for me, that's my filling station. I go in, I surround myself with really good people,
Yeah.
people who I believe that care about me. And my ultimate goal is to be able to lift those up who continue to lift me up. So if somebody's not adding fuel to your fire, but they're trying to blow out your flame, maybe that's not the person or the group of people that you want to be around.
Yeah, and along those lines, I'd say maybe be willing to try something new and that might be healthy, right? Not advocating for any
Mhm.
antisocial behaviors.
Right, exactly.
Over the last
Or
couple.
or or any chemical dependency is considered, right? Yeah,
Yeah, right, exactly.
right.
Yeah. Let's add that asterisk to what we're saying.
Yeah.
But I have recently started doing at my local animal shelter offers what they call like a doggy day out, where you can just take out a dog from the shelter and you can spend the day or even spend the night. Like the dog can spend the night at your
Mhm.
house with, and I don't have a pet personally, and so having that time to just take a dog out, particularly the dogs that, they're probably not likely to get adopted and that kind of thing. And just being to love on them, take them out for a pup cup and a walk. And I've had a couple nights where they've spent the night at my house and whatnot. It just is, it fills my cup, right? And it's something I wasn't necessarily doing before, but now I am 10 toes down, 10 paws down. I'm like all I am all the way in it. I love it, and it's just been really refreshing.
I think it would be 4 paws down, but
Oh,
I'm
4, you're right, 4.
if they had 10, I would be a little concerned about that kind of dog. That would be closer to an octopus. But but for me, I have two dogs. And one of
Okay.
them, my brother asked if something were to happen to him that I would make sure that his dogs were taken care of. So I took one, and my sister took one, and we already had our own. So, but they've been a blessing and
Mhm.
unconditional love,
Yes.
and they sit there and they jump on the bed. If I'm sitting on the couch, they sit one on each side of me as I'm watching TV in my recliner, finding things that bring you joy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Finding things that bring you joy is immensely important. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you just feel like you're one day I thought I was just suffocating. Dr. Davis and I were talking, and that's when I kind of said I'm suffocating. I mean, with all the news happening and all the things happening around us, and when you're questioning things and you don't know what to believe anymore, maybe it's time to unplug, take a
Mhm.
mental health break. Unplug meaning turn off the TV and the radio and just hoosah, as they would say, right? But the
Mhm.
other thing, and I'll say this to Dr. Davis since she's here, is that, you know, finding good partners and teammates. And Dr. Davis, you have been an extremely great teammate. When I want to reach out and just have a conversation, or, we have these really candid conversations often. And that's why we decided to do the podcast. It's like, this is something that maybe people need to hear. But again, it's the power of the village, right? And I would encourage you that at the end of this, you have an opportunity to one subscribe. But even if you don't subscribe, it's not the important piece. But we want you to share some things that you do to help you to navigate times that you're stressed, or you're just experience, or maybe you're not totally your whole self, and what you do to get back to who you are. Share those in the chat because that could be beneficial to our other viewers as well as listeners.
Absolutely, because you don't know what may resonate with somebody. I talked about therapy. I talked about doggy day out. Like talked about
Mhm.
things. Who knows what piece of what anyone says or shares may resonate with someone, and it takes a village. So yeah, please share. Whether it is here on YouTube, or whether you contact us on LinkedIn or Instagram or any of our social networks, we'd love to hear from you and be happy to share what it is that you all are doing to kind of maintain your sanity and in these difficult times.
Thank you. So, with that being said, we just wanted to have that conversation with you. We wanted to promote health seeking behaviors. We wanted you to know that you're not alone, and that this is not something, this too shall pass. Hands up, pause, y'all pray, all that stuff. But we just we just appreciate all of you, and we just want you to know that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And please just reach out. And if you need help, call someone or seek professional support.
Yes, and know that you don't have to engage in what we call toxic positivity, right? Like,
Mhm.
well, it's good to be optimistic. You don't have to just be walking around like, oh, well, it's going to be okay. It's going to be great. Today's a better day. You don't necessarily have to feel that way. Like I said at the beginning of this talk, I'm tired. I am tired. And at the same time, I am actively doing things to try to maintain my mental health. Yet there's like an onslaught of things going on
Mhm.
nationally and personally and whatnot to contribute to my exhaustion. But I'm pushing forward. I am trying, and I don't need to try to present the situation as something that it is not. So just
Mhm.
get the A for effort, right? Just
Yeah.
try your hardest.
And there's a thing called the Barksdale effect, and I'm going to hit it real quickly. It was a retired Navy. He retired as a general, but he was taken on as a prisoner of war.
Mm,
It's important to understand that optimism can be dangerous.
mhm,
Understand where you're at, acknowledge the facts, and it's great to have faith, but also do not allow that false optimism to take you down a darker hole. Acknowledge where we're at.
mhm.
This is what we got to do, and make sure that you take care of yourself so you can endure toward
Yes.
the end.
Mhm.
So that's our time for the day. But
Yeah.
we just wanted to say thank you again for joining us. Dr. Davis, any parting words of wisdom?
No parting words of wisdom, just happy October and take care of yourselves and each other.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Alrighty, bye everyone.
Goodbye.